Hello everyone, I am Dr. Purnima. Welcome to Medix Test. Today we are discussing about coagulation cascade. Coagulation cascade is one of the basics of hematology. Although it is basics, a lot of us get confused with it. So just to make the basics clear, here we are discussing about coagulation cascade. So firstly, it is old theory was waterfall schema of coagulation cascade. So if you can see in the textbooks, a lot of these waterfall kind of thing, like arch kind of thing pathway was discussed. So that is called as waterfall schema of coagulation cascade. So according to it, coagulation pathway was divided into two pathways, extrinsic pathway and intrinsic pathway. What is it extrinsic or intrinsic to is intravascular compartment. So the factors which they thought was intravascular compartment they considered as intrinsic pathway, and the one extrinsic to it was considered as extrinsic pathway. So tissue factor and factor 8A related pathway was considered as extrinsic pathway, and factor 12 based pathway, all are high molecular weight, kininogen, prekallikrein, all that based pathway was considered as intrinsic pathway. So what they did was extrinsic pathway and intrinsic pathway finally jolted down to common pathway, where finally factor 8 was activated in the presence of factor 5A into factor 10A, and activated factor 10A converts prothrombin to thrombin, and finally this thrombin converts fibrinogen to fibrin. So the formed fibrin is finally stabilized with factor 13A. So finally forming the fibrin mesh. So this was the old waterfall schema of coagulation pathway. But then studies went on. What they found out that, so if this was the thing, then why does factor 12A, that is which is considered as the first component to be activated in intrinsic pathway. So in the deficiency of that they did not find any bleeding disorder. So they did further studies and found out that this probably may not be the final pathway or actual pathway. There are studies which says that prekallikrein or high molecular weight kininogen and factor 12, which are the part of intrinsic pathway, as not really essential for or most important for coagulation. So that led to the discovery or revisiting of coagulation pathway, which we will be discussing later. So here we have divided it into three parts: initiation, activation and propagation. So what is it? Firstly, the pathway is initiated, and then other factors are activated, and finally propagated in the to form bigger number of coagulation factors to be included to form a proper clot. So for initiation, any inciting factor in the form of either a bleeding, a cut, anything which triggers coagulation pathway, first thing to get activated is tissue factor and factor 7A. So this activates prothrombin to thrombin, finally same thing, thrombin to fibrinogen, fibrinogen to fibrin. So this is the first thing to get activated, that is initiated. So this thrombin which you can see here, this is the most important, because all the further things are activated by this thrombin. So what this thrombin does finally activates the further factors. So there are studies which say that this tissue factor also is included in the activation, that is your tissue factor plus 7A complex and thrombin together activate factor 9. So after this it is the factor 9 which is activated. So factor 9 is then activated to factor 9A, and your factor 8. So there are few cofactors, they are called as non-enzymatic cofactors, as in they are not actually required for the enzyme activation to occur, but it is required for them to be present. So in our coagulation pathway, our 8A is a non-enzymatic cofactor for 9A, and a factor 5A is a non-enzymatic cofactor for 10A. Okay. So just to know that. So finally what happens, your factor 9A activation in the presence of factor 8A converts factor 10 to activated factor 10, and factor 10 in the presence of factor 5A converts prothrombin to thrombin, and finally to fibrinogen is activated, finally forming the thrombin. It is the same thing again. So what happens? First thrombin will activate this. So now there are few active coagulation factors which are getting activated. Finally, it tries to propagate it so that more number of coagulation factors are involved and a proper clot is formed. So, how does it does that is thrombin activates factor 11. So, factor 11 gets converted into factor 11A and finally same thing follows, that is 11A to 9A, 9A to 10, 10 from prothrombin, prothrombin to thrombin, thrombin to fibrinogen. So, what we the standard what we have studied, it is the same pathway that finally happens. So, fibrinogen to fibrin and fibrin finally stabilized by our factor 13. So, just to know this, the thrombin is the most important part of the coagulation cascade. So, thrombin activates, like I said, in the initiation itself our fibrinogen. In the activation part, it activates factor 9A. Then in propagation, it activates factor 10. Meanwhile, it auto activates our cofactors, that is factor 8 and factor 5. If you can see, all these are vital for coagulation cascade, which are activated by thrombin. Not just that, thrombin also activates platelets initially only to form the platelet plug. So, other than activating the coagulation factors, thrombin also activates certain anticoagulation pathways, which are also important to be understood, which we will be discussing in the next class. Thank you.